Hello everybody, this is Slick Rick, and today we will be going over War of the Ring the way it was intended to be played. Starting this game, we've got the Free People played by the Free Peeps, and the Shadow played by the Shadow. And let's just dive right in and see how this goes.
It must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. One of you must do this.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
We have the ability to look at both the Shadow hand and the Free People's hand. Free People starts with Riders of Theoden and House of the Stewards, and the Shadow starts with Return of the King and Flocks of Crevain. And let's see here. Shadow gets 3 eyes in, and the Fellowship starts with 3 characters and a will, so they will probably be moving, but the Shadow is probably happy to have 3 eyes here. So, Fellowship starts us off by moving the Fellowship, and the Shadow does not hit, which is unfortunate, but there'll be plenty more chances. And Shadow starts his turn by playing the Flocks of Crevain. So looking to really hit the Fellowship. The Fellowship goes ahead and moves a second time, and the Shadow goes ahead and plays the Flocks of Crevain. As the crows fly ahead, spotting the Fellowship. And it looks like the Shadow rolls 4, 2, 3, and since it hits on 5s, but Flocks of Crevain is there, a 4 is a hit. So Shadow draws a eye tile, hitting the Fellowship for a 1 reveal. Let's see what they do. It looks like the Fellowship is not taking the risk through Moria and is taking the high pass. Let's see if they take Gandalf or not. They do not decide to take Gandalf, as they take 1 corruption. Not a great start for the Fellowship, but let's see what happens. Shadow goes ahead, moves Isengard to war, and the Fellowship goes ahead and hides. Makes sense. And then the Shadow goes ahead and puts in Saruman. Very standard stuff. And, ooh, crazy move by the Fellowship here, trying to move again. I guess it makes sense if you want to get rid of Gandalf. Saruman is out, so goes ahead, and the Shadow rolls a 2, 5, 5, getting a hit and a 1. Very tough decision here. Do you want to take Gandalf out on a 1? Let's see what they do. They do not. The high pass is corrupting the Fellowship. Can the hobbits take it through the cold? Let's see here. The Shadow goes ahead and draws a card, draws into Palantir of Orthanc.
The power of Isengard is at your command, Sauron, Lord of the Earth.
Build me a home worthy of Mordor.
Free People did not play a card that round, so let's see as we go into the next turn. Free People draws 2 more cards, gets Scouts and Gwahir the Windlord, and Shadow draws into Cruel Weather and Rage of the Dunlendings. Alright, so we got allocate 1 eye, and they both roll. And Fellowship has 2 characters and some musters, and the Shadow has no movement except for 2 character dies and 2 musters, so they'll probably utilize those musters. Let's see here. Fellowship starts off by playing the Riders of Theoden. Very good early start to buff Rohan up. Whereas the Shadow goes ahead and starts playing the Palantir of Orthanc. Alright, so Free People does not use a ring to take the Palantir out, but instead just passes, and looks like the Shadow is going to utilize their card, and they play an early Cruel Weather. the high pass is definitely the place for that weather, and so the Fellowship moves back into the fords, giving the Fellowship opportunity to go through Moria. And they redraw the Balrog of Moria with the Palantir. Fellowship goes ahead and starts moving, and the Shadow rolls a 4 and a 1, so they are safe. And yeah, the Shadow does go ahead and keeps utilizing the Palantir Vorthank, playing the Balrog of Moria, and drawing the Foul Thing from the deep. Fellowship goes ahead and continues the movement. My goodness. Rolls a 4 and a 3, so they are safe again. And yeah, the Shadow goes ahead and plays Foul Thing from the deep. As the Fellowship is knocking on the doors of Moria, coming straight out of the deep, and gets a 0 reveal. Alright, interesting here. Fellowship is on 3 on the track, so it can go through Moria here, but it will end up drawing 2 more tiles from the Balrog and the Moria territory itself, and they do decide to do that. We can lose Gandalf here, so let's see what happens. Moria draws an eye, love to see that, and then the Balrog comes in. Let's see, ooh, a 3 is drawn from Balrog of Moria.
Go back to the Shadow! Shall not pass!
And Gandalf will not let the Balrog pass, saving Frodo from 3 corruption points and leaving Strider as the guide. Sad to see Gandalf go, but they must move on. Strider's ability is used to hide the Fellowship right outside of Moria. Shadow goes and bumps Sauron up on the track, and adds an elite in Dol Guldur. Very interesting. Alright, on to the next turn. We draw some cards. Shadow gets to fighting Urkai and Wormtongue, and the Fellowship gets Elven Cloaks and Amor, son of Ammon. And both roll, and lots of eyes in the pool here. The Shadow is desperately looking to reveal the Fellowship. And let's see what happens here. The Fellowship goes ahead and moves first thing against 4 dice and is safe. Very nice. Whereas the Shadow goes ahead and plays Wormtongue. Alright,
Why do you lay these troubles on an already troubled mind? Can you not see? Your uncle is wearied by your malcontent, your warmongering.
Maybe we'll start creeping in on Rohan here. Let's see how that strategy turns out for him. And it is a Palantir, so Shadow does get to draw another card and draws Lure of the Ring. Aemir, son of Aemond, is played. Rohan is looking very okay at this point. Maybe Wormtongue will help solve that issue as the Shadow starts mustering the Southrons and Easterlings down. The Free People start mustering the Elves. And all Shadow Nations are now at war, as Elven Cloaks are now played as the Fellowship is passing Lorien. And let's see here, with the last Shadow die, they are starting to again muster in Dol Guldur. They must be moving that army either into Lorien or Woodland Realm. I guess we will see what they start doing. Alright, on to the next turn. Free People draws an Ent card and Through a Day and Night, and whereas the Shadow gets New Powers Rising and Breaking of the Fellowship. And the Fellowship does choose to declare in Lorien.
The enemy knows you have entered here. What hope you had in secrecy is now gone.
playing it safe on the corruption scale. I guess the Shadow has not been moving very well. They've been spending their time on cards trying to corrupt the Fellowship, and so I can understand this. Putting in one eye in the box, and let's see what they roll. The Fellowship, amazingly, rolls 4 character dies, so maybe now is the time to run out of Lorien. We will see. And that is what they decide to do. A 5 and a 1 is safe. Shadow starts off with new powers rising.
A new power is rising. Its victory is at hand.
The Bounty of Orthanc really getting some good value for the Shadow. It's unfortunate the Free People don't have a Will of the West to bring in Gandalf the White yet. And they draw Stormcrow. The Free People goes ahead and musters, the Shadow musters Rage of the Dunlendings. Alright, starting to look at Rohan with a army of Isengard units and angry Dunlendings. The Fellowship continues moving and gets hit. While it's 2 on the Fellowship track, it's a 1 reveal. Very interesting. Yeah, taking the corruption and moving into Eastamnet. Makes sense. Fellowship is revealed in Eastamnet in Rohan. And Shadow plays Lure of the Ring. And then we will see who in the Fellowship gets lured. It is Boromir.
They will find you. They will take the ring. And you will beg for death before the end. Go! It is not yours, saved by unhappy chance. It could have been mine. It should be mine. Give it to me! Give it to me! No! Give me the ring! No!
Oh, very, the men of Gondor seeking the power of the ring. But the Fellowship, interesting, decides to keep Boromir and lose 2 corruption. I guess that can make sense if you're looking to avoid Morgul Wound. And maybe Boromir is, let's see, the Free People, they do have House of the Stewards. So let's see if this tactic plays out for him. Looks like they disconnected a couple times, but Shadow then goes ahead and plays the Breaking of the Fellowship. Ooh, a very potent card here. Let's see what tile they draw. A 3. Ooh, that is devastating for the Free People. Let's see what they decide to do. Oh, the Free People decide to take out Strider, Legolas, and Gimli. They must be going for a military victory. Very exciting indeed. They use their next action die to hide the Fellowship. Okay. And the Shadow musters in Orthanc. And the Fellowship moves again. Okay, so we're not giving up on the Fellowship, even though they went ahead and took out the guides of the Fellowship. Right now, Boromir and Merry and Pippin are left. Let's see what happens. A 3 and a 4, and a 2 is hit on the Fellowship, and Boromir sacrifices himself finally. Leaving the hobbits by themselves. Shadow goes ahead and starts combining armies in Mordor, looking to maybe attack upon Gondor finally. On to the next turn, the Fellowship draws Book of Mazabul, and there's another way, and it looks like they get rid of Gwahir the Windlord. Interesting. Shadow goes ahead and gets the Lidless Eye and Threats and Promises. And let's see here. The shadow rolls. Free People also rolls, gets a will, so he can bring in Gandalf the White. Love to see it, but no character movement to move the Fellowship. But maybe that's okay if they're deciding to go for military victory, potentially. Yep, there comes Gandalf, straight into Fangorn. And then the Shadow is just clobbering on the Fellowship here. Orc Patrol, let's see what happens. Gets a 3. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so both hobbits are taken on it.
Legolas, what do your elf eyes see?
The Uruks turn northeast. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
They take 1 corruption as Gollum becomes the guide of the Fellowship, and both hobbits escape into Fangorn with Gandalf. And the Penalty of Orthanc is still on the board, and so Shadow does get to redraw a card. Alright, let's see here. Fellowship goes ahead and musters up the elves, potentially from that big Dol Guldur army. And yeah, okay, so it looks like the Shadow is approaching upon Lothlorien, and separates 2 from Moria and all but 2 from Dol Guldur. Maybe they'll reuse those Dol Guldur armies to go north or something. Alright, so the Fellowship then plays the Book of Mazarbul. Doesn't look like anybody can reach Erebor or Erluin, but just being
The wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means
moving the Fellowship in this situation does seem fairly okay, as looks like he leaves the hobbits in Fangorn, and all the companions head into Edoras.
We'll draw you, Saruman, as poison is drawn from a wound. If I go, Theoden dies. You did not kill me. You will not kill him.
Alright, very interesting indeed. The Shadow goes right on ahead and starts the siege on Rohan, I guess before that unit in Edoras, the army in Edoras becomes too powerful. And it looks like Rohan probably should be activated now that Gandalf and Aragorn or Strider and Gandalf the White are in Rohan, but let's see if this matters. Shadow going into the fords, but Free People scouts away. Oh, but goes into Westamnet. Oh, interesting. I would imagine they would have went into Helm's Deep, but they do have Through a Day and Night in their hands, so oh my goodness. I think I can see what can be happening here. Oh, yes, they play it. Through a Day and the Night. All units from Edoras fly into Helm's Deep in the nick of time. But they do leave Gandalf behind. I guess, yeah, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so it makes sense. Let's see what the Shadow does. Brings all of his units in the fort, I guess. Doesn't have any hurry to attack Helm's Deep now that it's completely filled. And puts a big army right in front of Lorien as well. And then goes ahead and attacks Helm's Deep. It's going to be a tough battle, but both armies are fairly sizable. Let's see here. And then the Fighting Uruk-hai. Oh, very interesting. You know, if the Shadow does become victorious here, it will be a devastating blow. Killing Strider, Legolas, and Gimli.
So it begins.
In the Battle of Helm's Deep, Rohan goes to war. In the first battle, Free People is able to play a card since they have companions in, and it is a great host and a brave stand. Let's see, the Shadow gets 1 hit, and the Free People gets 2 hits. Okay. All Free People are holding steady. Second round. No card from the Free People, and the Shadow goes ahead and plays the Devilry of Orthanc. Ooh, absolutely brutal blow from the Shadow, getting 4 hits, and the Free People hitting him back a sizable 3 hits. But that is killer, leaving 3 units in Helm's Deep. And going into the third round, not looking great for the Fellowship, but with the companions in there, they still are able to roll their 5 dice. And they do use a combat card on the third round, Heroic Death by the Free People. And the Shadow gets 1 hit, Free People gets 2, and looks like we'll kill a leader heroically in the third round of the final round of the Fighting Uruk-hai. Alright, and the Shadow does decide to press with no card. Very clutch third round by the Free People. Shadow on their 4th rolls 2 hits. Oh boy. But with 3 units it still survives. Free People then, oh, oof, that's rough. Only 1 back. So it looks like a very successful attack by the Shadow, bringing Helm's Deep down to 1 unit as they still have their 5 regulars. Things are looking grim for the Free People. Let's see here. On to the next round. They'll have to finish it off later. Fellowship declares in the Western Emil Mule. And let's see what happens. After declaring, both teams roll, and the Shadow drew File of Galadriel and Celeborn's Galadrium, whereas the Shadow drew Half-Orcs and Goblin Men and the Black Captain Commands. So, let's see here. The Fellowship starts by mustering an Edoras. Okay, maybe looking to bring some armies over and around to see if we can keep Helm's Deep alive. And the Shadow plays Half-Orcs and Goblin Men in Helm's Deep. Free People goes ahead and moves Gandalf's army, looking to potentially save the day. But here we go. Looks like this will decide the fate of Helm's Deep, a final battle. And the first cards are Onslaught by the Shadow and Daylight by the Free People. So the Shadow will only be able to roll 3 combat and 1 reroll, hitting on 6s. Let's see. And no hits by the Shadow, but he still does have an Onslaught. And oh goodness, the Free People rolls 4 dice because they have Strider, Legolas, and Gimli, and they get 4 hits. Brutal. So the Shadow now can only Onslaught 2 units if they're look to take over Helm's Deep, and let's see what happens. Ooh, he rolls a 3 and a 2, not getting that final hit. The companions are able to hold on to Helm's Deep, and it looks like the Free People goes ahead and declares an attack on Helm's Deep from Gandalf. No cards from both sides, and Free People gets the hit, retaking back Helm's Deep. An incredible battle, just barely holding on to Helm's Deep Fortress. Brutal loss for the Shadow, and looks like they next turn they play Orcs Multiplying again, looking to redirect and attack. Free People passes, and the Witch King comes into Minas Morgul. Okay. And the Shadow then, okay, looks Mount Gungabad and Dol Amroth may be able to combine into a 10-unit army. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Free People with only 2 cards left plays at Ents. If so, there is a chance that Saruman could be destroyed this round. Let's see what the Free People rolls. A 4-6-6. That will do it. The Ents, angry that Saruman has been chopping down their trees, breaks the dam and takes it back. And the File of Galadriel is also played afterwards with help from the hobbits. Good, good. That is a devastating blow for the Shadow. The game is starting to look more in favor of the Free People, but the corruption is not looking very good for the Fellowship, with nobody in the Fellowship and 5 corruption points. So still anybody's game. But Orthanc is now ripe for the taking too, since Rohan is already at war. And so yeah, the Shadow decides to attack Karok. No cards. Gets a hit. Takes it over, and North is closer to war. And okay, so the Fellowship decides not to move the Fellowship and instead move out of Helm's Deep, and they will be able to guarantee take Orthanc first move of next turn. Just walk right into it. And yeah, the penalty of Orthanc is also gone since Saruman died. And yeah, there we go. The Shadow combines the units in Old Forest Realm, putting pressure on the Dew Line. Alright, on to the next turn. Free People draws Mithril Coat and Fearfire Foes, and ooh, the Shadow gets the Corsairs of Umbar and Candles of Corpses. Alright, here we go. Both roll. Very good. And yeah, first turn on the Fellowship, they got 3 Palantirs and 2 characters. Would have been nice to see them have a army move, but that's okay. And looks like, yeah, they move 1 regular and the companions into Orthanc. As there's no army there to protect it. But they do leave the 3 units and a leader into the Fords of Isen, so see what happens here. Shadow goes ahead and moves some units, Far Harad to Near Harad, and some Gorgoroth into Minas Morgul. Free People draws a card. I guess, yeah, if you have that many Palantirs, there's Fearfire Foes, so you could have got your companions. You know, Strider needs to get crowned sometime here. Well, I guess they still have a lot of time for that. So, since they had 3 Palantirs and only 2 cards, it makes sense to draw. Okay, the Shadow goes ahead, moves into Umbar, and has some armies coming out of Mordor. Free People gets Thranduil's archers in preparation for that 10-unit army in Old Forest Road. And they redraw Paths of the Woses. Could be potentially dangerous here as Rohan is at war. And yeah, alright, so now the Shadow has caught the Free People with 3 regulars and Dol Amroth and a sizable Umbar army. Free People does not have Imrahil or Círdan's ships, so the Shadow moves all but 2. Makes sense, you know, keep Umbar protected, and that army should be able to take those 3 units. Fellowship goes ahead and starts moving. Gets a 0 reveal, but since Gollum is the guide, he's able to help the Fellowship avoid the pesky Shadow player from corrupting him.
Striders!
Revealing him, the Shadow goes ahead and plays Black Captain Commands, moving the Nazgul to the north and attacking what looks like Dale. And Shadow's able to take it out. Free People do not get a hit back with a Swarm of Bats combat card. Very nice. And Shadow congregates its units in the east, whereas the Free People now play Fear Fire Foes, and they move one Hobbit, Merry, into the Rohan army, and Pippin into Westamnet with Gandalf, and the rest of the Fellowship, Strider, Legolas, and Gimli go to Erebor. Very interesting. Let's see how it plays out for him. The Shadow goes ahead and moves into the Iron Hills and into Daggerlad as well. Leaves one behind. Okay. On to the next round. Shadow draws Day Without Dawn, and the Ringwraiths are abroad, and the Free People get Faramir's Rangers and the Dead Men of Dunharrow. Very good cards in this situation with Strider in Rohan. Let's see how it works out here. Free People declare into the Dead Marshes, with Gollum guiding them. Fellowship's okay, both roll. So the Fellowship gets 2 Wills of the West and a character, and the Shadow gets a nice well-balanced roll too, but it looks like the Free People is taking a risk and not playing the Will of the West right away. Looks like to move the Fellowship. The Shadow does not hit, but absolutely, yeah, the Shadow's going to go right ahead and play Day Without Dawn and killing 2 of the Will of the West for the Free People, which is pretty brutal. They could have gotten Strider this turn, or I should say Aragorn this turn with those, so it's very, very brutal. Oof indeed. Shadow moves armies, enclosing upon Gondor. Gondor is not at war, since only Dol Amroth was attacked. And Faramir's Rangers is played. Another very good card in this situation, attacking North Osilian, getting 1 hit, and bringing in Faramir into Osgiliath. Ringwraiths Are Abroad is played by the Shadow. Looks like redirecting focus to Gondor. Okay, brings all the Nazgul and attacks Osgiliath from the east. And the Shadow goes ahead and gets 1 hit, and the Free People also get 1 hit. And they press, and the Free People retreat into Minas Tirith. People's pass, since they do not have very much die, and the Shadow goes ahead and, let's see, Gondor's now at war, and they attack Minas Tirith right away. And so yeah, the Free People have to put another unit into their reinforcements to get down to 5, but yeah, they retreat into siege. Passing again, musterings of long-planned war. Okay, brings in more units into Mordor. It looks like all of the Sauron regulars are gone, so they're only able to bring in 4 regulars into Nirn. And Shadow then finishes their last Palantir die with Candles of Corpses. While the Fellowship is in the Dead Marshes. and rolls a 5-5-5. Very, very clutch for Gollum, because it only hits on 6s because Gollum is the guide. So Gollum saves Frodo from the candles and corpses. Fellowship uses their Palantir to play Mithril Coat. I guess that makes sense. They can be saving dead men for when other armies are looking to take over Peligir. Let's see if that works out for them. And let's see here. The Shadow goes ahead and attacks Dol Amroth without any leadership. Let's see how that works. And no cards from both sides. Okay. Yes, yeah, the Shadow only has the lidless eye, so Shadow gets 1 hit with their first 5 rolls, and the Fellowship gets none. And it looks like the Shadow is pressing. No cards from both sides. Another 1 hit from the Shadow, and 1 hit back from the Free People, and a 3rd press. Alright, here we go. Let's see if that army could take it out in 1 fell swoop. And they do. They get the final hit, taking out all of Dol Amroth with no leadership. Very impressive. A quick takeover of the southern coast of Gondor. Next turn, both teams roll, and the Fellowship gets more Wills of the West, but they of course are safe since the Day Without Dawn is already occurred, and the Shadow gets several Palantirs and only a couple movements. So they drew Denethor's Folly right as they're taking Minas Tirith and Grond. Very nice. Free People gets We Prove the Swifter and Guards of the Citadel. So let's see how the Fellowship starts out their turn. They start by moving the Fellowship. The Shadow does hit them on 2 dice, getting an eye. Alright, a 1 reveal. Reveals them going into Minas Morgul. Okay, so they take the 1 reveal in, and let's see what they get. Another eye. Oh, let's see what the hunt pool was there. Yeah, it was only 5 with 1 eye, and they drew the eye there. So the Fellowship is revealed going into Mordor, but it does not get more corruption. That's very critical. Okay, so the Shadow goes ahead and plays Denethor's Folly, taking a leader out of Minas Tirith. And the Free People play We Prove the Swifter.
Run, Shadowfax. Show us the meaning of haste.
As Gandalf with Pippin is able to rush to the rescue in Minas Tirith to help negate the Nazgul leadership in this battle. Okay, it's going to be a tough battle cracking Minas Tirith here then. Let's see what happens. Plus, the Free People have Guards of the Citadel, so Minas Tirith will not be easy to take, but with the musterings inside Mordor, the Shadow does have plenty of units to reinforce. The Shadow starts out with Grond. Could be a risky move, but let's see what happens here. Denethor's Folly is still in play. The Fellowship still need to spend a die to get rid of it. And so, Lidless Eye, if a Nazgul's in battle, cancel a Companion's leadership and special abilities. So that's very, very good for the Shadow being able to get their rerolls, but still only hitting on 6s. Luckily getting 2 hits, of course. Free People only getting 1, which is brutal. It's just brutal. And only get 1 reroll too from oh, I guess they should have 2 rerolls there, but only getting 1 hit. Second round, so only 5 regulars. If the Free People can survive this, they can play Guards of the Citadel, hoping the Shadow doesn't completely swamp them in the Grond rounds. Shadow gets 1 hit on the next, and the Free People gets 2. Alright. So Gandalf was not shining there, which is interesting. Down to 4 regulars. Shadow gets another 1 hit, and the Free People then gets 2 hits. Alright, so the Shadow then decides to stop there. They have 3 regulars and 1 elite. And the Minas Tirith has 3 regulars, but it should be okay, because, oh, so yeah, the Free People decide to take out Denethor first. And Gandalf says, none of that. We must attack. Yeah, looks like reinforcements are coming. I guess, yeah, attacking Minas Tirith right now while the Shadow Army is so low may not be for the best. Oh, and the Dol Amroth Southernlings are looking to creep upon Peligir, so the Dead Men of Dunharrow is potentially could be made here. Let's see what happens. Fellowship passes. Ooh, yes, and Peligir is attacked from the 4 regulars. Shadow does hit with a 6. Free People gets no hits, but it won't be for much, as Dead Men are played as Strider, Legolas, and Gimli go through the mountains.
Oh! That's it! Right! We warn you! Prepare to be warned!
Warned? By you and whose army?
This army.
And they roll a 4 and kill all of the units in Peligir with the Dead Men, as 3 Gondor regulars are recruited. Another heavy blow to the Shadow player, but they do have their reinforcements coming from Mordor, so it things still aren't looking too good. In the Fellowship, going into Mordor at 5 corruption with Gollum and revealed is not the greatest thing either. Okay, the Shadow draws a card. On they went. And Aragorn is crowned in Peligir. The Shadow plays Shelob's Lair right as the Fellowship is entering into Minas Morgul. Alright, on to the next. It looks like the Shadow has drawn Shadow's Gather, which will be very helpful for reinforcing Minas Tirith. Nazgul's Strike, too, as well. A little late, but that's okay. And the Fellowship draws the Grey Company and Help Unlooked For, which potentially could be very good for Minas Tirith. Fellowship starts off, and they play Paths of the Woses. Okay, bringing in their 3-strength Rohan, or 4-strength Rohan army into the forest. Oh, it looks like the Help Unlooked For could be pretty devastating here. They do want to do that before Shadow gets too many units in, and the Shadow brings in an 8-unit army to Osgiliath, and the other units in Mordor closer to Minas Tirith. And yeah, look at that, there we go. Help Unlooked For from the Rohirrim as they answer Gondor's call for aid. And so, since there are 3 units inside of Minas Tirith and only 4-unit army, the Shadow will only be able to roll 1 die, and the Free People will be able to roll 3. And the Black Breath is played by the Shadow. Let's see if that works out for him. 3 hits by the Free People, a very sharp blow here, and the Shadow gets nothing. And they press, and Shadow retreats into Osgiliath, and another stack of units in Minas Tirith comes. Okay, very, very interesting. So the Shadow then decides to attack Minas Tirith, and the Free People decide to do a field battle. It doesn't look like Shadow put their die in the slot, though. I think that'll happen later. Gandalf shines, and they play Words of Power negating it. Okay. And so the Shadow goes ahead and hits 3 hits, which is pretty brutal. And the Free People gets 2 back, and brings them down to 4 regulars, and they retreat into siege. A deadly battle in the Pelennor fields. Free People do then play Guards of the Citadel, reinforcing Minas Tirith yet again. And Dreadful Spells is then played by the Shadow with the max amount of 5 Nazgul in the space. So let's see, they do get 1 hit, bringing Gondor down to, again, 5 regulars. The Fellowship hides in Mordor, and the Shadow decides to attack Minas Tirith again, relentless. They get 2 hits off of just 5 dice, since Gandalf is shining. And the Free People gets 3 hits. Okay, so down to 3 regulars and 5 regulars. But Shadow does have Shadow's Gather, I believe. Or, yes, they do, and they're playing it right now. Bringing in reinforcements straight from Minas Morgul, a 5 stack of Easterling units. And the Fellowship decides to take its first step in Mordor. And let's see here. Oh, first tile drawn is a Shelob's Die. Let's see. Mithril Coat is played on it. So they can redraw, and oh, fantastic! This is a game changer. The Fellowship draws the Phial of Galadriel, saving them 2 points of corruption. Of course, Shelob's Tile goes back into the mix, but looks like the Mithril Coat and the Sting has swayed away Shelob, and the Phial of Galadriel comes in handy. Shadow continues the siege on Minas Tirith, getting 1 hit, and the Free People get 4 hits back. Okay, huge blow, but hey, the Shadow does have a 10-unit army, and they can afford the casualties. Free People uses its last die to play the Grey Company with Aragorn to draw some strategy cards and bring an elite into Peligir, potentially able to come to Minas Tirith's aid. On to the next. Long game. The Shadow draws many kings to the service of Mordor, and the ring is mine. Love to see the red tiles. And the Fellowship draws swords at Eredor and Mirror of Galadriel. Both sides roll. Shadow has 3 eyes in the box, with the Fellowship another nice rounded roll. And let's see what they start doing. They start by moving the Fellowship. Okay. Frodo and Sam and Gollum at 4 corruption, still needs 6 corruption until they are fully corrupted, so hopefully they draw something. Okay, it is a 2 reveal. Okay, so Gollum prevents the reveal. Let's see if they use Gollum's ability. They do. They get revealed to prevent a corruption. And let's see here. Shadow continues the attack on Minas Tirith. Both teams choose a card, and it is a Great Host versus a Shield Wall. And let's see here. The Shadow goes ahead and doesn't get any hits, but the Fellowship gets 2. Great Host looks like it will still get a 1 hit, just barely. And the Witch King draws, and they stop yet again. The Strider army moves up north to aid Gondor. They'll need to survive 1 more round, though. 1 more attack in Minas Tirith, and oh, very clutch for the Free People playing Heroic Deaths.
Rally to me! To me!
So now the Shadow's going to need all 4 hits because Gandalf can be sacrificed here. Let's see what happens. Oh, but Shadow only gets 1 hit, and the free people get 1 back. And so Minas Tirith is still staying alive, just barely. And the dead men from the south come up and see if they can aid Minas Tirith. Free people, they get 3 hits. They've done it, and the Shadow stands no chance as the dead men, led by Strider, Gimli, and Legolas, comes to reinforce Minas Tirith, and all of the Shadow armies have now been defeated. But now the fate is all dependent on Frodo and the ring. Military victory for the free people is still not looking great, with not a very sizable army in Minas Tirith, and elves still not at war. Rohan can be mustered up, but it will take a while. The Shadow looks like it, with the musters are pretty good right now. It'll be able to muster up some places that definitely need it. Free people hide the Fellowship. The Shadow puts in another red tile. Okay, the hunt pool is starting to look a little worse for the Fellowship. Alright, so some Gondor units are being mustered. Okay, maybe a potential military victory. Shadow brings in some Nazgul and some units. Well, okay, very interesting. Challenge of the King is played to take some eyes out of the pool. Let's see what is drawn by the free people as Aragorn looks into the Palantir to challenge Sauron. Okay, it doesn't look like they had it, but the Challenge of the King, I believe, took 1 eye out. Or maybe none at all. But Aragorn is still alive. Alright, on to the next. Cards are drawn. Free people gets the last battle, Athelas, whereas Shadow gets a Isildur's Bane, and the King is revealed. Very good timing for the King is revealed. And, alright, so the free people gets 2 characters, some Palantirs, and the Shadow gets a nice rounded roll again with plenty of characters, movements. Oh, there we go. Okay, here's the Challenge of the King.
Long have you hunted me. Long have I eluded you.
Alright, that must have just been a misclick last turn. And yeah, okay, so yeah, they draw 3, getting 1 eye taken out of the pool. Very nice. Okay, here we go. The Shadow starts putting some pressure on the Doom line. The dwarves are besieged in Erebor. And the free people play Athelas, even though Strider is not in the guide. He is in the aftermaths of Minas Tirith, thinking if he can use Athelas to save his fallen comrades. But yeah, unfortunately, it does not help the Fellowship. The Shadow moves Nazgul, looks like, brings some up north. Okay, makes sense. Oh, they did get the mouth last turn. Okay, I didn't see that. Alright, here we go. The Fellowship is starting to get to Mount Doom here as they are moving, and they get a 1 reveal, a very good tile there, and they looks like, yeah, they just decided to take the 1 corruption and not be revealed. Okay, alright. And, okay, the Shadow attacks Erebor with the 7th strength Easterling army. Ooh, gets a very good roll. 2 hits against 1. Alright, and they press, getting another 2 hits. Okay, down to 2 dwarves versus 4 shadow units. But then they stop there. Erebor's not looking too good. Okay, here we go. The Free People start advancing outwards as Peligir and Minas Tirith go into Osgiliath. Maybe looking to make a attack on Mordor or Umbar. Shadow is thinking. Plays a Isildur's Bane. Okay, yeah, the Fellowship is getting close, and getting a 3 on this would be pretty devastating. Let's see what they draw. Ooh, it's the red 3. That is brutal. The Fellowship cannot decrease that damage at all, and the hopes of bringing the ring to Mount Doom have gone drastically lower. The red tile is out of the pool, though, so that's good for the Fellowship, but they're going to need, I don't know if I should say a miracle, but some sort of hope to get to victory. Okay, Fellowship go ahead and they start moving their armies towards the Shadow. Shadow goes ahead and plays the King is Revealed. Okay, good timing for this. I bet the Free People probably should have went towards Umbar, but maybe they can still sneak around to Moranon, but the Shadow does have good dice to be able to defend, and Free People does have Orthanc, so they only need to take one settlement or one stronghold to be able to get to their 4 victory points. Shadow goes ahead and musters in Mordor. Okay, and let's see here. Brings in more Nazgul. Fellowship uses a ring to do some movements, bringing the north up towards Angmar, which was never controlled by Shadow in the first place, it looks like, and or no units were there in the first place, and knocking on Moranon's door at the Black Gate with Free People from Gondor and Rohan, and the rest of the Fellowship, aside Boromir, looking to attack the Black Gate. Alright, units start assembling to meet them, looks like. Alright, let's see how this turns out here. It's all a matter of the Fellowship now. Both teams roll. Shadow had 1 eye. Shadow has 2 in the box. Just 1 short of being able to completely kill the Fellowship. And yeah, the Fellowship goes ahead and attacks Morna.
For Frodo.
Puts it under siege. A little rough because the Shadow Army has a sizable fort in Gorgoroth, able to, looks like, yep, that's what they do. They attack back. And the Eagles are coming. Well, I guess another heroic death too as well. A final battle here in Moranon. Shadow gets 1 hit. Free People gets 2 hits, and the Shadow presses. And yeah, the Free People take a leader as a hit. Alright, in the next battle, the Shadow gets 4 hits. Ooh, a devastating blow. And the Free People gets 3 back. But now the Free People only have 2 units in their army, and they have to retreat to Dagorlad. Okay, Free People military is not looking great now. And the Gandalf and Aragorn are very dangerously located. Okay, here we go. The Free People uses the last battle here. Okay, they have enough movement to be able to dunk the ring this turn. It looks like they're putting it all on the line here. No more action dice will be put back into the hunt pool here. So let's see what happens. Okay, Hill Trolls is played in Moranon. Okay, to further protect, and the Fellowship starts moving.
Come on, Mr. Frodo. I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. Come on!
Oh, nice. Looks like they got elven cloaks, so that they are able to be one away from the finish. So now it is looking fairly good for the Fellowship. And that die shouldn't be in the box because of the last battle. The Shadow brings down some units, brings the Umbar units north, take over Pelagir. Here we go, the Fellowship takes that out of the box, puts it on last battle. And here we go. Moves it to the Crack of Doom. They will win as long as they do not get a one of the red tile. There's only 3 left. Oh, no. Hunt, pool. Okay, here we go. Only 2 of the 7 will stop them. Let's see what they draw.
The ring is mine.
Oh! The ring is mine. As they are just at the doorstep of dunking the ring. That brings them up. It doesn't kill them, though. It only gets 2 corruption, but they're revealed. Does the Shadow have any cards? They do not. They were 1 away from corrupting Frodo. Just right at the very end. The Shadow draws a card and they get Morgul Wound. Fellowship hides, though. And yeah, looks like the Shadow is starting to attack the Woodland Realm, put it into siege. And here we go. The Fellowship uses another ring and to change a muster die. Looks to a character for yet another attempt at dunking the ring. And they get, oh my goodness, what chance was that? It was only a 1 in 6 chance, but they did it. The Golem is able to use his ability to reveal the Fellowship, and they are able to win the game, just barely dunking the ring, thanks to Golem. GG. What a very intense game. This kind of a game would make a pretty good book. Oh my goodness. Thank you all for watching. As I did explain at the beginning, this was a project of mine trying to compile a game of War of the Ring that reenacted what actually had happened in the books. And so I hope you enjoyed watching, and would love to hear your critiques and what you thought of it. Always enjoy playing this with everyone in the Discord, so hopefully I can play you sometime, and thank you for watching.